What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here, the leading Hispanic voice in science fiction, coming at you with a review of Kamen America. This is Tim Lim and Mark Pellegrini's latest book. I'm going to give a quick disclosure. Tim Lim is one of my better friends, and so, that is there. Know that when I review indie books, though, if I am not wholeheartedly endorsing something and actually loving what I'm reading, I'm just not even going to leave a review of it. So I am indie comics and indie books first. I want those to succeed. I want them to be out there and doing well in the market. And so if somebody comes at me with a book and I do not just completely love it for whatever reason, I'm just not going to review it on the channel because I don't want to hurt the books. I don't want to say anything negative about indie books, and I only want to help books that I personally can endorse and that you guys can see and read and know that it has my I don't know, I don't want to say my blessing, but my my honest love of something. So that's what I try to do when I review indie books here. All right, so this is like an interior cover sort of thing. Maybe it's the exterior cover. I don't know. I've got a PDF version right now, so I don't actually have a physical version yet. It's on the way. It's my understanding they did like a glossy sort of chromium cover thingy on it. Kind of cute. Here we go. So we've got the concept of a superhero girl, as you can see, and it's done very well on Kickstarter. And here we go. All right. Starts off with the character as a kid, and we get kind of like a prologue and then a prologue. This happens a little bit in comics, trying to set things up, and this is an origin story in nature. So they start with connecting us to the character as a kid, and they give us a little messaging in here about not following what the media says you should do just because you are of a certain demographic or something like that, but you should really search for what you actually like to do yourself and not listen to that. Little subversive for what's going on, which is good, and I appreciate that. It gets into a second. I'm trying to not show every page of the PDF here, just so it doesn't. I don't know, so you can read the book for yourself if you want to get this. There are going to be some spoilers because I'm going over it. It goes into a second prologue where we then see the girl grown up, and she's part of a USO show where she designed all the costumes and all that, and she really likes designing costumes. That's her thing. And this is a writer's, I would say, trick that they use. You get somebody really into something quirky as a character, and that stands out, and it's a way to create a memorable character. Brandon Sanderson, the fantasy author, uses this trick a lot, where he creates a quirky thing. There's a character in his Steelheart books, for example, who like his whole thing is like, I make very bad metaphors, and every time he's in a scene, you can count on him to make a very bad metaphor, and that makes you remember the character at the end of the day. Well, this girl in this main character here is really into making costumes, really into seamstressing. And since that's kind of a weird, quirky thing, that helps you remember the character and what she's about as it goes along. All right. So she gets into that, and she kind of is dejected because nobody really cares about her costume designs and things like that. And then some strange meteor shower hits, and she becomes a superhero. I don't know what page it's going to be on, so I'm just going to kind of flash to random pages here. This is where she's kind of upset. And there's the media shower. All right. So you can see that Tim's got this like manga anime influenced style with some very thick lines. It draws an impression of a figure. I wouldn't say it's like overly detailed or anything like that. But for this lighthearted story, this is exactly the kind of art that is commanded for this sort of thing. So it's actually perfect. I'll note on Tim's early books, I was very hard on the lettering that he did. So I believe he letters his own comics. I think he still does. If he does, he's gotten much better at it. I did not notice any issues with the lettering. Everything looked very natural within this book. So got much better at the lettering element of things over the course of books, which is good. I like to see improvement in the arts as they go along. And Mark Pellegrini's storytelling has certainly gotten better too. This flows very naturally. It's got an arc that feels like a movie. You get this origin, and then you get into a sort of conflict of the personal self with the girl, where you kind of know who she is. There's a few pages in here. I'd say it's a little slow where she's getting talked to by a doctor in the military and all that, and then released. And it really gets into the heart of things after that little origin. I don't remember, around page 20. Here it is, where she discovers her powers. So a little bit of a long prologue there, but that's okay, as the character is compelling enough to carry that anyway. And then we get into what's going on with her story. So there's a little message in the story here where she goes to a publicist to try to figure out who she's going to be, what her name's going to be. She calls herself Warhen at first, and then gets put through the ringer and all that. And it's I don't know, it's not that subtle, I guess, since I noticed it right away. But it's about media messaging and how the media manipulates people into wanting to be certain things and having to act certain ways. And she has this kind of like internal crisis throughout the book where she eventually is like, you know what, I'm not going to deal with this publicity thing. I'm just going to be honest and forthright and do things the right way, which is what a hero should do. So that medium that's there. And I agree with that messaging. I really dislike the media. And you see it at the beginning here. This is just what I need, a whole new look. I can remarket myself, rebrand myself. That is the focus on presenting yourself as something to the world that is inauthentic and all that, as a business ploy, or as a you can look at it from somebody's Instagram account or Facebook accounts and them trying to just present how awesome their life is. Those sorts of things are just not good for the soul. And that's kind of the message of the book here. So she gets into this. She then gets into some fights with some different monsters. It's pretty fun, very cute, lighthearted stuff. Lots of reference jokes. So I mean, if you're in the know of some of the things that Tim and Mark are into, you'll get the references, and it's pretty fun on that level. If not, doesn't matter. I mean, it's a light, quick story, so you'll be able to enjoy it regardless. She eventually gets into a fight with a Russian lady, who then this is kind of some of the fight scenes here, and this goes on for a few pages, and they quip back and forth, very quippy stuff. So there's a lot of dialogue where it's either references or it's just like a quick gag joke or something like that. Hot iron curtain, right? Just stuff like that. In order to make the reader laugh and just have a little bit of fun in here, which is good. I'd say Saturday morning cartoon fashion, they end up becoming friends, and I'll leave why and all that out so that you guys can discover this for yourself. And after the fight, they win by the power of friendship. A very Saturday morning cartoon way of doing things, like I said. There is Epilogue, which kind of sets up a next book, it looks like. And then there's a bunch of pinups and stuff at the end. And then there's a second epilogue, like an after credits scene sort of deal, where they actually tie this book into their other book, Black Hops. And looks like they're going to be doing a team up book of their two characters, which is fun. But Black Hops was very good. So folk who enjoy their universe that they're constructing should enjoy that also. Bright colors all the way around. I love bright colors. I think we get into a lot of oversaturated dark colors all the time in comic books these days. And I find that just kind of dreary to read. So when I see colors like this and just like super high, look at the oranges with like the motion lines, and these like big motion lines and the fire right here and all these bright colors and everything, just makes me happy to read it. It's very different than a lot of other people's work on that regard, and it's refreshing to me. So all around, I enjoyed this a lot. I'd say the storyline's very good. It's a classic hero arc. The character with her seamstressing is memorable because you're going to remember the quirk there, which is a good thing. The dialogue between different characters feels different. Like the Russian gal feels like a different person than Common America. So that's always very helpful when the dialogue just feels different for different characters. Art's really good. I love Tim's style. It's very quick and cartoony, and that is something that I enjoy in art. So he is very dynamic with his poses. You don't see a lot of just standing around and talking in the same poses, which is great. I never it doesn't feel stiff. It feels very fluid, which is good also. And that's about all I have to say about it. I'd say the one criticism I'd give is I think the beginning, it drags on maybe a little too long for the length of the book. It's just a little takes a bit for you to really get started and get into it. But as the origin goes, that it works out pretty well. It's kind of like you'd watch in a movie or whatnot. It feels like that a lot, where the action really builds up big at the end, and it works. So yeah, I'll give this a 9 out of 10. Very enjoyable. Look forward to the next one. And this is still available on Indiegogo. So they ran their Kickstarter campaign very successfully. Then they put it up on Indiegogo for people who wanted to use a different platform. So I think this is up for a couple more days. I will try to put that link down in the description below so you guys can check it out too. All right. Have a great day, everybody, and enjoy your comic books. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I will be back soon.